Hello.
Hello.
Hi there.
Welcome to a very cursed episode of Hugo Girl, the podcast where we hope to read Hugo Award-winning works of fiction and sometimes other things and bring you a podcast every month. And this one is a little bit delayed because of illness and more illness and a third illness.
A secret third illness.
And I'm Lori.
I'm Haley.
I'm Amy.
And today we are going to talk about This Is How You Lose the Time War, a Hugo Award-winning novella by Max Gladstone and Amal El Mukhtar. And it won the Hugo Award for Best Novella in 2022. Before we get into it, we've got some housekeeping because it's been 2 months since we've been here. So there's a little
News
bit
is piled up.
Do you guys have any?
Not administrative things, but I was wondering what we could do just for like a couple of minutes vamp and talk about what we've been reading with our free month.
Yeah, since we last met 100 years ago, well, first of all, we were supposed to do this one last month, and then what happened? Amy
I was sick,
got a
and then
cold.
Kevin, and then Lori. Yeah.
Amy got sick with just a raunchy cold, fortunately, and then we were going to record last week, and then we were going to record on Thursday, and today's Sunday in our time, and Kevin got COVID, and then Kevin texted me and said, "Oh no, I had COVID," and I went straight home from work, and then a few days later, I tested positive for COVID. So here we are. We're recording remotely, so pardon us for any poor sound quality because of the remote recording, and also poor sound quality of my voice. So what have you guys been up to all this time? What you reading? What you doing?
I'm reading a lot of men's adventure fiction this summer. So I'm having a Guadalcanal summer. So I'm reading a lot of books by Webb Griffin, who is a writer that my dad read a lot. And now I read, just following these men in the Pacific during World War II. But there's a lot of romance in it. But the way that he describes women, he says either fantastic teats or breastworks. And that's the only two ways he refers to boobs.
Breastworks! I have to give a round of applause for breastworks. That's pretty good. That's a double entendre.
I've never seen that before, and I think you sent us a picture of that. Actually, breastworks rings a bell, but I don't think it's because I've ever personally read it.
It comes up a lot, and I just put it out of my head. But yeah, I'm like currently on book 6 of 11. It's amazing.
So I need a little context. Breastworks, is it like she had a nice set of breastworks? She had a well-wrought breastworks?
It's almost like he doesn't like women the way that he talks about them. It's just like, oh, fantastic breastworks, like you would say to like the facade of a house. I don't know. It doesn't get more like nice nipples or
bags of sand.
Yeah, lovely vagina. Just like very bird's eye view, 10,000 feet of.
I've heard they're very nice. Amy, what have you been reading?
I read for the next episode. So I'm finished with the next book also, which is good. I finished reading Lonesome Dove for Hugo's there. And then I read a book called The Rose Code, which is not something I normally would have picked up, but my mom left it here the last time she was here, and I was bereft at the end of Lonesome Dove because nothing is ever Lonesome Dove after you finish reading Lonesome Dove.
Oh,
It's Lonesome Dove?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
it's good.
Rose Code was very it's sort of fluffy. It's about the women who broke codes at Bletchley Park back in World War II, and the goings on amongst this friend group. And I cried a lot.
Aww.
I don't know. I was very moved by the whole idea of Bletchley Park, I think, in general.
So, yeah, wasn't there a TV show about Bletchley Park, like Code Breakers or something?
It was called. Well, there was one called Bletchley Circle.
That's right.
And then
I saw some of that.
Which I tried. It seems similar to the book, but they apparently aren't related. And I just started reading A Brief History of Nearly Everything, and I'm having a really good time correcting it in pencil in the margins because it's been 20 some odd years since it came out. So I'm not correcting, updating. I'm updating it for Bill as I go.
Who's Bill?
Bill Bryson, who wrote it.
The writer.
Oh, I see. For when he calls.
Yeah, maybe I'll mail it to him. I don't know. Got
it. I've been reading A Fire Upon the Deep, which is our next book, and it is so good. It's so good. I'm about halfway through it.
I've not started it yet. I'm excited.
It is really long, and
It's
so
lengthy.
of course
Yeah.
I had a gut reaction of "Oh no," but I am really enjoying it. Then I also started reading Rake's Fall, which is the new book by Vajrachandra Sekara, who wrote The Saint of Bright Doors, which I really liked, and that is on the Hugo ballot. All right, let's see. Our regular housekeeping. This is a short book, so I feel like let's just talk about whatever we want to talk about. But we have a review. We have a 5-star review, and it is from Papa Esteban. And Papa Esteban says, "Love this pod. These ladies are funny and provide great insight into some of my favorite books. Highly recommend this podcast." I love that. It's short and to the point. Thank you, Papa Esteban.
That's all we need.
Who recommended this book? Haley recommended this book.
Yay.
Good job, Haley. I have a correction corner. Of what feels like 7 years ago, I mentioned watching Top Gun with my grandma, and my grandma said, "That looks fake." And I said, ironically, it wasn't fake. And then Liz from Octothorpe podcast, also a Hugo finalist, Liz messaged me and said, "A lot of Top Gun is fake." So maybe it wasn't just the motion smoothing on my grandma's computer. Let's see. What else? Amy, are you here? No, it says offline.
Oh, no.
Damn it.
Maybe we just do 5 minutes real quick. Did you like it? I liked it. You like it? Cool.
That's really the majority of what I have to say.
I don't have any talking points. I'm just like, I just like the vibes, man. I don't know.
Yeah, my overarching thought is like, this book is vibes. Just let it wash over you.
Yeah. So many men are so mad. They're just like, I wanted a time war.
Needs more guns.
Yeah. How did the time war work? Nobody never knows how a time war works.
How did the time war work?
It can't happen, Mike. And even the people that don't like it are like, I mean, I know everyone else loves it and the vibes are great, but
But how do you write a letter in a seed? There's Amy.
Hi.
Okay. Amy, so glad to have you back with us.
Thank you. How can you hear? How do I sound?
You sound good. You sound good.
Okay, I plugged directly into the router, so hopefully this one.
Oh, that's a
this
good
will
idea.
work.
oh wow.
Okay. So when we last left, we had an intermission, and I think I had just finished reading our most recent review. So thank you to Papa Esteban for those 5 stars. That's the best number of stars. And then we also got an email from Renee, and I had a little fangirl moment because this is Renee of the Hugo Spreadsheet of Doom.
Oh.
I know. And I was like, oh my God, she knows who we are. And then I'm like, she listens to us. So that was exciting. Hi, Renee. So Renee said, the subject line said, "I love dogs." And it said, "Hello, I'm re-listening to your pod archives after a long pod break, and I just finished the Jupiter Ascending episode again. I had a remembering regarding Balem and Cain. I cannot take credit for this, but also don't know where I heard it. Maybe Tumblr? The movie talks about how Cain chewed some royal's neck. Balem's voice is very weird, and his costumes often cover his neck. What if that's the neck Cain nommed on and the damage couldn't be totally repaired because it wasn't related to aging? I realized while listening, I had apparently adopted this as my own headcanon. I thought I would share it with you all. Enjoy this very late fan theory."
Yeah.
I love that.
It's the gift that keeps giving, Jupiter Ascending.
And that makes it. Does that put it in the same universe as Death Becomes Her? Like you can fix everything except for bodily injury.
Yeah. Or like Highlander when like you've got to cut off someone's head to kill an immortal.
Maybe. Okay. Oh yeah. I did the correction corner. So I think we're on to the year of the award. I talked about Top Gun, not necessarily all fake. Yeah. Okay, I did. Okay. So the year of the award. This is How You Lose a Time War won the Hugo for Best Novella in 2020. And maybe that's why this episode has been cursed, because it won the Hugo in the cursed year of 2020. It won the Nebula in 2019 and also the BSFA for Best Shorter Fiction in 2019. An interesting thing about this book, which many people are probably already aware of, but I think Amy might not be, so I'm excited to tell her, Amy, at this point in time, does the name Bigeless Dickless Wolfwood mean anything to you?
It does not.
Okay.
Yay.
So in 2023, a Twitter user whose handle is at Mask of Bun, but their screen name or whatever you call it is Bigeless Dickless Wolfwood, which is a reference to the Trigun anime series, tweeted regarding This Is How You Lose the Time War. Read this. Do not look up anything about it. Just read it. It's only like 200 pages. You can download it on Audible. It's only like 4 hours. Do it right now. I'm very serious. And Bigeless Dickless runs a Trigun fan account. And so there's like a ton of followers. And the resulting explosion for this book was just really unprecedented. And Amal blogged about it, which I read today, and it was very funny. And she has a post called The 12 Days of Bigeless Dickless, as they just watched their book climb and climb and climb, and then spend many days in the top 5 of all Amazon. They ended up a New York Times bestseller. And this is, 4 years after the book was published. So this is really unprecedented. Bigeless Dickless became such a thing that I personally saw one at Dragon Con. I saw a Bigeless Dickless cosplayer walking around with a copy of This Is How You Lose the Time War. And Bigeless Dickless, if you were wondering, is named after the character Nicholas Wolfwood from Trigun. Let's see. What else? I guess that's that. Be the Bigeless Dickless you wish to see in the world. Be someone's Bigeless Dickless. Okay. Brief plot summary. So, friends, I struggled with this.
Good luck.
So I've got a little intro. 2 factions, both alike in obscurity, in fair space-time where we lay our scene. From inscrutable judge, break to new mutiny, where whacked seals make waxed seals unclean.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
I think is it also an iambic pentameter?
What's the intro to Romeo and Juliet?
I know exactly, but like, is it actually scanning?
I was like, it better be. Another intro that I wrote, or another summary that I wrote, was 2 primary colors on opposite sides of a war murder their way through space and time, falling in love along the way. And then I thought, maybe I'll just use what's on the back of the book.
Oh, there you go.
In the ashes of a dying world, Red finds a letter marked burn before reading. So begins an unlikely correspondence between 2 rival agents in a war that stretches through the vast reaches of time and space. Red belongs to the Agency, a post-singularity technotopia. Blue belongs to Garden, a single vast consciousness embedded in all organic matter. Their pasts are bloody and their futures mutually exclusive. They have nothing in common, save that they're the best and they're alone. Now, what began as a battlefield boast grows into a dangerous game, one both red and blue are determined to win, because winning's what you do in a war, isn't it?
Ooh.
Can I ask a quick question?
Of course.
Now that I'm reading A Brief History of Nearly Everything, I understand what the word singularity means. And I'm wondering, do they mean like the Big Bang singularity or some other one?
Ma'am, it doesn't matter how many times I read about singularity. I don't know what it means. So why don't you tell me?
Okay. This is not going to be right, but it's a little ball that blew up and made the universe.
Oh, but there's something where like a future singularity is like human and technology is the same thing or something.
This is
So
what
this isn't a cosmological singularity.
Yeah,
This
no.
is okay.
Singularity is a system theory, according to Wikipedia, is in dynamical and social systems, a context in which a small change can cause a large effect.
Okay, that
A butterfly flaps its wings,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. Okay.
In general relativity, on the other hand, which I think you're reading
That's
about.
what I was talking about.
A point in which gravity is so intense that space-time itself becomes ill-defined, which also doesn't mean anything to me.
So wait, it's technological singularity. Back to Wikipedia.
Yeah.
The technological singularity, or simply the singularity, is a hypothetical future point in time in which technological growth becomes uncontrollable and irreversible, resulting in unforeseeable consequences for human civilization.
Runaway tech. Okay.
So that's the version that we're talking about, I think.
Got it. 10-4, thanks.
But like now that I've closed that tab, I don't remember what it is anymore. That, like the Hugo voting system, are things that I can only remember for about 5 seconds after I read it, and then I don't understand it anymore. Okay, so those were my plot summaries, such as they were. Would anyone like to add anything?
I think you could also just make it 4 words, 2 periods. Be gay, do crimes.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. Let's call the episode "Be Gay, Do Crimes."
Yay. Time crimes.
Time crimes. Okay. Goodies from Goodreads. Haley?
Marta the Bookslayer wrote a very long 2-star review. And I think a lot of people feel bad to not like this, and that's totally cool. That's just vibes. But she said in a little excerpt that I chose, everything is just described in contradicting phrases, and for some reason, everything is described as bones. It seemed that the 2 writers were competing for who could outdo each other. I can write the most ridiculous phrase. No, I can. No wonder people are confused and frustrated reading this. So yeah, it is very bone heavy, a la the Ninth House in Gideon, but
Yeah, I'm here for
Bone
that.
heavy.
yeah,
That made me think of teeth are outside bones.
outside bones.
What about that when she tossed some? No, she starts talking about chewing and eating, and she was talking about teeth as, I don't know, mouth bones or something like that. And I
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
outside bones.
Yeah, there's a whole section where she's like, isn't it weird that like we chew up food that grew in the dirt and then we swallow it down our gullet? And I was like, yeah, it is weird.
It is. Do you have any more?
That's it.
Amy, what you got?
HT on Amazon would like us to beware, because this is not a time travel tale. Quote unquote time travel is there only to bend causality in order to allow a happy ending, you guys.
So many men are just like,
So
more.
mad.
Yeah,
So mad.
So many men are just like, I need more time war. I want time guns. Like,
He also says, I'm assuming it's a he. Maybe that's not fair. But this person also says, this quote unquote love is utterly nonsensical. They never meet.
he's never had an internet boyfriend.
This is so funny. Oh, man. Got any more, Amy?
I mean, HT goes on, but I'll stop there.
I have 3 shorties. 2 stars from Whitney Atkinson. The girls who get it. And I was not one of those girls. Dakota Morgan gave it 1 star. Wasn't there a Keanu Reeves movie about that? Oh, yeah, with a link to the lake house. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was pointed out many times. I've never
Yeah.
seen the lake house.
What a blast from the past.
I've never seen it either. Yeah.
Well, I guess Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves are putting letters in the same mailbox and they travel through time, I guess.
Yeah.
They do.
I read about it, but it's funny that I never saw it. I love a time travel movie. So
And then Matt Lillywhite gave it 1 star and said, the book is called This Is How You Lose the Time War, but it should be renamed This Is How You Lose My Interest.
that's good. That's good.
10 out of 10. Good review.
Yeah, it's been so long since I read this that I feel like I have lost the time war. So feel free to jump in at any time with thoughts, talking points, digressions.
I think we could start with, real quick, just to kick us off. Did y'all picture them as the red and blue Rock'em Sock'em Robots toy?
I don't know what that is.
I did. I am now. I wasn't, but I am now.
Google it. It's just like the robots that were like in the 80s. You just 2 robots punching each other with
Little punchy toy guys.
Yeah,
They're toys, right?
Oh, yeah.
that was red and blue in my head.
I pictured the blue one a lot like Illyria, God King of the Primordium from Angel.
Oh,
Fred's evolution.
I didn't picture anything. What's wrong with me? I just looked at the cover and I was like, oh, 2 birds.
Well, note that I took the only blue person provided to me by pop culture and applied that. I couldn't picture red at all.
I think
But
it could
red,
be.
in some ways, red looked like Nebula from Marvel in my head. But
Well, that would be blue.
I know it doesn't make any sense. But Nebula's kind of cobbled together. But
I think you can both be forgiven. There's no less than 10,000 pieces of imagery in this book. So
yeah,
Red could be him from the Powerpuff Girls. Means nothing to you guys. Okay.
I'm about to look up some fan art. Let's see.
So my question.
there's some good fan art.
You're gonna find. I bet you're gonna find some juicy fan art. My question about this book. This was my second go at it. The first time I didn't finish it because the vibes were not enough to pull me along. I wonder if I would have understood this book if I hadn't already known what it was about. Like, because it is so. well known and talked about, and then the back tells you what's going on. But I think the first time I read it, I was like, I don't know. I have no idea what's happening here. So I wonder if you could come to this book completely blank. Well, I guess that's what Biggless Dickless told everyone to do.
I mean,
don't read anything about it. Just read it.
That's what I did. I hadn't read anything about it, and I started reading it, and I had to go back and start it again after about 30 pages or so.
Did you?
Because I was sort of coasting along, and I knew that I didn't really get what was going on. And so by the time it took about 30 pages to get to something that could hook me into what was happening. And so then I restarted it.
Oh, I think 30 pages is probably about as far as I made it the first time. And then I was just like, I give up. And I was embarrassed of that because it is so short.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely, yeah. I mean, I think the plot definitely takes takes a backseat to the vibe.
Yeah, for sure.
I still don't know what it's entirely about, but I just like the words. So
I get the impression that the tech group wants the whole universe to be techie, and the nature group wants the whole universe to be naturey, and so they fight.
That's right.
Okay.
It is in fact as simple as that, I think.
Yeah, it is just so imagistic that like they don't get into like hardcore plot dumping, which is kind of nice. Like most things we read have to explain up this world, and this is just like just vibe with it. Yeah.
Well, and yeah, but I mean, both of our characters very much know what's going on, so there's no reason for them to tell us or talk about it.
That's a good point.
There's no doctor's companion who needs everything to be explained to her. So the audience knows what's going on. No, coincidentally, when we were reading this, there was an article that went around by Molly Templeton that made the rounds on social media. It's a Reactor article, and I'll put the link in the show notes. And the quote I took away from it is, "There is real joy to be found in not immediately understanding exactly what a book is doing." And the title of the article is "The Joy of Reading Books You Don't Entirely Understand." And I really enjoyed this on the second read. And so that article was kind of right on time for me because I liked this a lot, even though I was like, well, I don't necessarily know what's going on, but I just decided I didn't need to. And I don't think you need to.
I don't think you need to. I think as long as you know that these two people are on different sides of a fight,
yep,
then I think you get enough.
And that they're falling in love.
Yeah, and I think that's why I like this hard book versus like some Delaney, because like I don't ever know what's going on in Delaney, and also like there's not easily recognizable tropes necessarily. So
yeah,
because it's just like Romeo and Juliet, bad guy or garden technology, this is easier to follow for me.
I was actually thinking about that when I was reading it, Haley, because I knew you liked this book, but I also know that you don't love to be left at sea.
That's true.
Literally, yes, but figuratively, no.
Yeah, no, it's true.
So I was curious what about it was.
Yeah, I think it's because it is just, I am a romantic deep at heart, and this is two people that are falling in love, and they use good words, and there's enough, like, I like the little glimpses of, like, now we're in ancient Rome, now I'm being, like, a washerwoman for 6 years, like, I like the weirdness of it, because it doesn't make sense, but it doesn't have to, because it's just one scene, and then you're done, and as long as you like the scenes as they progress, you're like, I'm content to stay here, so.
I kept being kind of bothered by the fact that they would get assigned to places, and they would live there for, like, decades.
Yeah.
But
like, are they immortal?
Yeah, they don't seem to age in real time. So it was sort of like, I mean, how old are these people?
Yeah, I wonder that too with relativity, because like if they spend 6 years in real time on, in ancient Rome, like they're going to be 6 years older. So.
Maybe it's only a second in their time. Who knows?
Oh, yeah. So that leads me to a comparison I had to this and The Big Time, Fritz Leiber's book, The Big Time. Yeah. Remember that? And they were they were living on a different timeline and doing this big war outside of regular people's timeline. So this book, it has echoes of things, and there are other things that echo it. For example, the Lake House with Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock, and The Big Time by Fritz Leiber.
Rock'em Sock'em Robot.
Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Two Birds.
A field guide to birds, like just because there's birds in the
also, The Forever War. I thought about that too.
Yeah, I thought about that too. Yeah, because this literally is a forever war.
I also thought about Loki, which I don't know if you guys... did you guys watch Loki? Oh, well, it has many a time stream. And there's the braiding thing is not too far off from what's happening in with all the time streams in Loki.
I kept thinking of Abelard and Heloise. Do you guys know that story?
Oh, yeah, like from French literature. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, the only reason I know what it is because I saw the movie Being John Malkovich. And that's he talks about them in there, but it's, it's two people who are in love and writing letters to each other. And it's like
I
the
don't
oldest.
know about that.
So,
Tell me French literature.
So Haley and Raj, I think they're like 12th century, a long, long time ago. They're actually buried in Paris. I've been to their grave.
Oh, they're real people.
Yeah, so Abelard
Yeah.
was like a priest, like a big shot priest, and Heloise was a woman that fell in love with him. She eventually goes off and becomes a nun, but like very forbidden romance. He eventually gets found out and gets castrated, I think.
Oh my
Mhm.
God. Is this Peter Abelard?
It might
that
be
a
Mike
name?
Abelard.
Jeremy Abelard.
Yeah, I have forgotten all the details, but yeah, it's one of the classic.
Brad.
Braden Abelard.
Braden Abelard and Heloise Smith.
Yeah.
Okay, it is him.
So their love letters to each other survived in a couple of different, like,
They're
I
still
don't
around.
think any of the actual letters survive, but like there's references to them in writings of the time, and they're like rewritten in certain histories about the time, and so their little romance is still known, even
Very
though
tragic too. Yeah.
it's a bajillion years ago.
It also reminds me of, have y'all seen Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
Yeah.
No, of course.
So at the end, when they're like shit out of luck, and they're like, well, what if we go back in time and I put a key right here? And they're like, okay, we got to remember to go back in time and put the key there. Like, that's kind of what the sickness
That's
is. of
what
this.
happens here.
Because I like that. Even in Back to the Future, there's a point when something happens and Marty's like, if only I had more time. And he's like, I have a time machine. And so he goes back again. So
But the men will complain that there are no time machines in This Is How You Lose the Time War.
It's
I
not
know.
real time travel, Lori.
They
I
just
do-
can like walk from century to century.
yeah, there's no men in this book, I think. Like I picture Garden and Red's boss.
Genghis
as-
Khan is there,
Oh, that's true.
isn't he?
There are some historical men. That's true.
And at one point, almost said green, Blue. Blue has a husband for a while, I think.
Oh, that's right.
Aren't they both friends with Genghis Khan at separate times?
Yes.
And
You only see one of them actually know him.
Red was like, tell him I
Yeah.
said, or Blue, one of them was like, tell him I said hello.
Yeah.
This book is fun. Give it a chance. If you're stuck, just give it a chance. So speaking of being stuck, I also relied on Wikipedia a little bit to fill in my gaps of what was going on. And as I was reading the Wikipedia article to remind myself what this book is about, guess who is heavily quoted in Wikipedia on this book? Our
Joe
friend.
Walton.
No, not Joe Walton, actually.
Oh.
Our friend Adri Joy,
Oh,
friend
yeah.
of the pod and managing editor of Nerds of a Feather Flock Together
that's
fanzine.
fun.
I know. She's heavily quoted, and there's a link to a very thoughtful review that she wrote for Strange Horizons. So I'll also put that in the show notes.
She didn't like it, right?
She did like it. It's
Oh, okay.
interesting. I came away from her full review thinking that she liked it. The way that Wikipedia quotes her made me think she didn't like it. And
That's
then
what
when
I thought
I
when I
actually
read it, yeah.
read the whole article, I was like, I feel that her article was cherry picked because she called it a
okay.
masterpiece.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So I think she liked it. But you know what? I shouldn't speculate. I should have just asked her.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to meeting her. I'm going to meet her in London. Kevin and I have plans to meet up with her in London before Worldcon and meet her and her beautiful dog.
Oh,
That's
nice.
fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of nerds going from the zine. So
Oh, yeah. Nerds, like capital N nerds.
yeah,
There
nerds
are
with
also
feathers.
a lot of nerds going.
True. Lowercase n.
Myself included, Kevin included. Let's see. And then also in Wikipedia, Cheryl Morgan, who used to co-run the Hugo Awards website, and maybe she still does. I'm not sure how her role changed in the fallout of all of the things. She was not involved in the 2023 things,
Gotcha.
but I think that she may have changed her involvement with hosting the website or something. And I can't remember exactly what. But anyway, she's also heavily quoted in Wikipedia. And I liked this quote from her where she said, soldiers on either side of a war often have far more in common with each other than they do with the people who sit safely at home and issue orders. And she said that is the central message of the book. And it is one quote that the world needs to hear. And I thought that was a good observation, too. 'Cause I just read this book and I was like, vibes. I'm happy for them. And so I really liked reading people's scholarly takeaways from it.
Yeah,
I made a large list of all the references in the book. Like,
there's so many.
Oh,
good ones.
good.
so,
Yeah.
there are so many.
Yeah.
So I can start going down this list. and we
Let's
can
do
just chat about
it. Let's do it.
The number one on my list is Terminator, because when they first introduced Red, my response was, "Oh, she's a Terminator,"
Oh.
because she's like this machine lady
Oh,
who
yeah.
comes back in time to change things for the Terminators, right?
I have not seen Terminator.
Oh, it's good. I love those movies. I love
I need to
even the
fix
bad
it.
ones. I love them all.
You should definitely see Terminator. And then Romeo and Juliet, obviously.
Obvi.
And then I thought of Magic Eyes, because there was one point. Why did I think of Magic Eyes?
You mean the things that you look at, the stereograms?
Yeah, where you gotta like relax your
Yeah.
eyes or you can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
Why did I write that down? Hold
That is the vibes of the book. You're just like, okay, I get it.
Well, there was one point she was supposed to be reading like some like message, and she had to read it like a magic eye. I can't remember.
Amy,
I can't remember now.
I
I can't remember now.
This is an absolutely genius observation. I'm
Well,
blown away.
The reference.
I'm cured of COVID.
Your credits all
score just went up. Did we
Your
just say that at
laundry's
the same
done.
time? Did
Your
we
laundry's
just say my credit improved at the same time?
We did.
Oh my god. Is that the singularity?
That's the
Oh,
singularity.
we did it. We did
Oh
it.
my god. I'm very freaked out. It's a weird day. Okay, keep going.
Sparta versus Persia. I thought of that at some point for some
Okay.
reason.
Okay.
Because it's like military versus like romantic. Like Persia was a lot more like decadent, and Sparta
Yeah.
was a lot more like not.
Yeah, we've all seen 300.
The game Go, they mentioned that about 550 times,
Oh, yeah.
which
Oh my
I've never
God.
played it.
No.
Have you ever played Go?
Mm-mm.
It's apparently like, I don't know, like the oldest game or something like that.
The
And it's
oldest game.
extremely challenging.
Hmm.
It involves black and white pieces that have to intertwine and then you attack.
Oh, yeah.
So it's an interesting. Mobius. So they have a lot of romantic poet references in this book. And so a
Mhm.
lot of the things that I didn't understand that were happening, it turns out were mostly references to poetry I had never read. And
Makes sense.
Lori, we were talking about the what was it, the legs of stone or something? Trunculus.
Ozymandias.
Yeah, Ozymandias.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we were talking about that. I looked it up and it was like, okay, no, Ozymandias. And so it's like, the themes of Ozymandias, like fate of history, ravages of time, competing, like I don't know. It was good symbolism. for
Amy
what
and
they
I were
doing.
driving to the craft store, and I was like, Amy, I don't know what the fuck is going on in this book. It said something about big trunkless legs. What? And I was like, Amy, what is a trunkless leg? And she was like, oh, I can answer that.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we still don't know what a trunkless leg is, but you knew it was a reference to Ozymandias.
It's the Sphinx or one of
Yeah.
those Egyptian
Yeah. Just like
things.
rotting
Does that
dead.
mean like just legs and the body is gone? The trunk of the body is
trunkless
gone?
leg. Yeah. So imagine the Sphinx, but like just the legs. Like
Just the
his head's
legs.
Gone. Yeah. His trunk is gone.
Like, and it was
It's a love
it's an
story.
it's I think the point of that one was like, these people are fighting for dominance, and the whole point of Ozymandias is like, you can fight for dominance and think you're now immortal forever, but everything
Yeah, your
goes
statue
away.
will still crumble
Yeah.
eventually.
everything goes
Yeah.
away. Tennyson was in there. Keats was in there.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
There's more of those. Through the Looking Glass was mentioned.
They mention a lot of songs, and they call them, like, as the
Yeah.
prophets say, ain't no mountain high enough.
Yeah, I love that. And
love that.
she quoted this random 1998 dance song, the Blue Daba Dee.
Yeah, blue. Da,
Oh
da,
yeah,
da, da.
Blue, da, ba, dee, ba, da, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I thought that was so funny. I saw a really outraged Goodreads review that mentioned that, and I was like, oh, I thought it was cute.
Yeah, people get so mad. Like,
That was definitely when they were in their early flirting phase too. They're like being a little playful. What can I get away with? I'm going to call you something a little bit silly.
as if people don't have silly nicknames for their romantic partners.
Totally. I
And
like
I think
that
about that all
about
the
this.
time. If anybody poked their head in on any couple talking to each other, it would sound like utter nonsense.
I
Yeah.
know. And I really like that about how the tone of the letters change, where they're sort of mocking each other initially, but it's like more friendly than not friendly, but a little bit not. And then it gets friendlier and then it gets cute. And it's like they're both clearly trying to make each other laugh.
Yeah.
They're flirting. And then it becomes like puns upon puns. It becomes a little purple as they fall in love.
That's true.
They become a little overwrought, a little flowery. And I love that about it. I think that's definitely a strength of the book.
Is that what purple prose is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Super-
I love that.
Isn't
Super
that fun?
ornate.
Yeah,
It's a mega pun.
We got
that's awesome.
Well-
yellow journalism, which means
We've got greenwashing.
yeah.
all kinds of stuff. And I just had a college thought too. The fact that the prose is purple, it's like the joke is made out of the words, like how their letters are made into things, created into things. And
Yeah.
the joke about the purple prose and the red and the blue coming together is like made out of the book.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I just think it's really well executed. I mean, is it perfect? No. What is?
Yeah.
Besides Moby Dick? It's really well executed. I like it.
yeah. Yeah.
Amy, what else do you have on your list?
Oh, so much. I mean, I could keep going. Cherokee Radiation, Henrietta Swan Leavitt, Helen Gavitt with the Etiquette of Correspondence, Death of Caesar, Trojan Horse was in there.
I can see that. Yeah.
Steinbeck, Generation Zero or whatever it's called. Generation Zero, it's a game. The Matrix, which we already
Yeah.
talked about.
Oh, yeah.
Atlantis came up several times.
Oh,
Did we
many
talk
times.
about The Matrix?
Oh, I thought you mentioned it in one of the reviews or something. No?
No, I mentioned Keanu Reeves, but that was The Lake House, not The Matrix.
Well, I also think the Matrix applies. All Keanu Reeves vehicles.
And we also talked about Bill and Ted.
That's true. John Wick. Can we tie that into John Wick somehow?
For sure.
I mean, they are doing a lot of killing.
That's true. There's so much killing.
And they do want to not be doing their jobs anymore, also like John Wick.
True. No puppies, though. Thank God.
Thank God, no dogs were harmed. Oh, well, there is the seal, the whacked seal.
Oh,
yeah.
no, poor Sue.
But isn't that a good joke, though, the wax seal? Oh,
Yeah.
it's so funny.
As a diversion in college, or actually, I had graduated, but I was still hanging out with college kids. My friends, we had a roommate that was very eco-friendly, and she didn't like jokes if you made a joke about clubbing baby seals or whatever.
Like you do.
Well, a lot of my friends throughout my life have had very dark senses of humor, but my friend Miles, her roommate,
Not us.
made a big piece of art that was baby clubs and a disco ball on a dance floor, and it was clubbing baby seals. And so that hung in our kitchen for years. It was great.
Oh, no.
Clubbing baby. There was like, boo da ba dee da ba.
I have an interjection, a Keanu-related interjection. Amal El-Motar announced in 2019 that the book had been optioned for television with scripts to be written by herself and Gladstone, and she also specified that the genders of the characters, quote, are not up for negotiation. And obviously, I endorse that, but I do think we've got to figure out a way to get Keanu in this movie.
Can he be like Genghis Khan?
Maybe.
Yeah, he could just be like an extra, but he has to be in it.
He could be like the unnamed husband when she's like weaving baskets out of grass. He could just be in the background.
There's so many extras.
Is the commandant a woman?
I think so.
I picture her as one, and everyone that I read reviews of said they picture like the four main characters, the bosses and the employees, as women. So
Well, one of them shows up as a so one of them's in that tent torturing somebody. Is that the commandant?
Yeah.
They took the form of a man or a woman in that situation.
A woman, I think.
I read a
Then it was
review.
the other one. I guess we don't really see.
Yeah, but Garden, like, how could a Garden not be a woman? You know?
I mean,
Yeah. I read a review from a man on Goodreads, and he was like, I don't know why they gave Red, when she was in jail, like a bed and a toilet, because she's very clearly a robot, and robots don't use those things. It's like, sir, she's not a robot. She's like very techno cyborgy, but I don't think she's actually a robot.
she's a modified person.
Yeah. She's not, but she probably still has to pee sometimes.
Plus, it's not like, I don't remember this, but I don't think it's like a bespoke cell. I mean,
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
They typically come
there.
standard issue with a cot and a busted shitty toilet.
He was looking for things not to like.
Of all the things to be mad about, too. Why does she have a toilet? Sir.
You know, like tall people when they get arrested don't get a tall cell; they get the cell that's open.
Or a short person, he would be like, well, why is the ceiling so high in their cell?
Plot hole.
They don't need all that room.
Yeah.
Imagine that you had to search that hard for something to complain about, too. He fucking loved this book. That was the only thing he could find.
That's what a lot of the negative reviews are. They're people that admit that they're it's just not for them, and then just like the tiniest of little like, well, well, nobody taught them how to braid hair. How can they braid strands of time? Like what? So So
Oh, that was good. Do you guys have theories on how these two people wrote this book? Do you think they
did it back and forth, and they didn't know the answers. I read about it. Yeah.
wait, explain.
Like they would write each other answers, and then she would get his like in her cat's whisker, and then she would write a response. Like that's how I interpret.
So they really wrote wrote letters
Yeah.
to each other.
They did.
That's cute. I love that.
That's
They
really
wrote it like the characters write it. And she wrote the blue chapters and he wrote the red chapters.
Well, yeah.
Do we know how these two people decided to? Because they're not a couple or anything. I'm wondering how they decided they were going to write.
No, I
a
think
good
they're
question.
friends. And there's several interviews with them, and one of them I read, but it was 7 years ago, where they talked about writing it. And I don't know the answer to your question, but I mean they're obviously friends. The picture of them in the back of the book, if you have,
I know
it's
funny.
so cute. They are really like just giving bestie energy. It's very cute.
Yeah.
I love that he's wearing his transitions lenses in this picture.
I don't
wonder if
know
they were
why people.
outside.
Why do people make fun of transitions lenses? They're a good
I'm
idea.
not necessarily making fun of them in this moment. I'm just
I
saying.
know that
it's
you're not.
interesting to me.
I
that
just-
he's wearing them.
I feel the need to speak up in defense of them all the time.
I do tend to make fun. They are a very efficient piece of eyewear.
It just makes
but
so much sense.
They look silly inside.
I think sometimes people associate them with the people that wear them, and I know
It's not the glasses; it's the people who wear
it
them.
is. Like I think people think that nerds wear them, but nerds really like things that work well, and I think that's fine. So
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, we've solved it. We've saved transitions lenses. We've saved their reputation. Let's see. Amy, do you have any other stuff?
The only other thing I was going to bring up was that so Red, spoilers. I mean, sorry, Blue poisons herself at one point, and but when she does that, they have this plant. They've grown this plant that is has geomantic script. Did you guys look at this up?
Mm-mm.
Nope.
It's a language of dots. So basically, the either the seeds or the berries or something, the berries on the plant were forming words in the formation of the berries themselves,
Oh, that's cool.
which it confused the heck out of me. So I looked it up, and that's when I figured out what it was. So you can draw the words that she was looking at on your little piece of paper, and it's very cute. It's like little clusters of berries.
Oh, that's cool.
I know, that was the other thing I had.
So
written
good.
down.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, this is so creative.
Yeah, and we very rarely get in the books that we read in the sci-fi realm, things that are just light and interesting and well written and just like a little dance. I don't know.
I found a magic eye.
Yay!
When Red took the paper, its backside was blank. Now it holds a multicolored snarl she is far more used to visualizing in 3 dimensions. She blurs her eyes, crosses them slightly, and topology emerges from the multicolor mess.
Oh my god, I totally missed that.
It's a magic eye.
It is a magic eye. God, I loved those when I was a kid. When I was like 10, 11, I looked at them, didn't understand what was supposed to be happening. And then just one day it worked. And then I was like obsessed with them. I was like, I have to look at them.
Zach was complaining the other day that he's never been able to see one.
Really? I feel bad about that.
And of course, my inclination was to be like, you just relax your eye. But it's not that simple.
Yeah, you're like, but just see it. Just see
Just
it.
look at it.
Just see it, Zach.
I ended up looking up every other word in this book because it was always something.
I'm very proud of you for doing that.
They get on a ship called the Gallimfree, and I looked that one up, or Gallimfry. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but I looked the word up, and it means a jumbled mix, which was fun, which is basically what they become. I love it.
So I said this to you guys, and I think you thought it was funny, but I wasn't kidding when I was trying to figure out how to DM, and I was like, oh, good. There are book club questions in the back of the book. Here's my DM homework all sorted. So from Expand Your Book Club. Imagine you are an agent fighting in this time war, dancing along the braids. What would it be like to see all of the different strands? Would you like to experience all of time in the way Red and Blue do?
Yes.
What kind of agent would you be? Discuss. What kind of agent would you guys be? Do you want to be immortal warrior murderers?
I definitely want to work for Garden.
I don't know if I believe in anything enough to do what these people were doing.
Seems like a lot of work.
I this is not a complaint, but I would like to know to what end. What are we going for here?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
and
their situation sounds perfect. So
my thing with Time Wars is that there's no way to ever get to the end of it. Like, oh, you're gonna go back and kill me as a teenager? I'll go back and kill you as a baby, and then you go, well, I'll kill your grandfather. Like,
That's true.
like, how do you get to the end? You can't, because time is infinite. So
I guess I got the impression that at some point, or I don't know, what I told myself was that at some point somebody would make enough changes that it wasn't change backable or something like that.
Oh, a fixed point in time, as the doctor would call it.
Maybe. Like,
or if you
something
change
like that.
enough, yeah, like what.
I did picture the braids or the strands of time as the back of a computer server, like all those cords that they like wrap up together.
That is so funny. I have such a vivid picture in my mind because the server room at my office is between my office and the break room where the coffee pot is. So I walk by it 75 times a day, and I look in there
every day.
I look in there every day, and I go, "Oof! I'm glad I don't have to deal with that thing." So I guess I would not want to experience time in the way that red and blue do.
I will show you in the chat. Once again, to go back to Bill and Ted, which is a formative movie in my life, I pictured it as the circuits of time. So I just dropped a link in the chat.
The circuits of time. Oh, well, that's not unlike.
Is that TARDIS?
No, that's the phone booth from Bill and Ted.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's a different famous time traveling phone box.
This one's the same size on the inside as the outside, though.
I'm going to show you guys the time streams from Loki if I can find a.
While you're looking, Haley, I'll have you know that I underlined an exclamation pointed the phrase "ship's biscuit" just for you.
I did that. There is a great line, actually. I underlined more in this book than I probably have, apart from Moby Dick, I would argue. But it's, why leave a self-destructing paper trail when one can enjoy an asset-destroying scrimshaw session and let the wind take a turn tickling some ivory? It's so good.
It's great, yeah.
They're both really good with alliteration, which can be very heavy-handed sometimes, but they do a good job of it, I think. So
to me, like, really good alliteration is like a really good pun.
Yeah,
it's like, oh man, oh, but that's so good. Oh.
Yeah.
I put the Loki time streams in the chat. So that's what I was picturing.
Same kind of thing. Sometimes I would just underline like a random phrase, like some flaw in their lumberjackery. Like that's just good. I just love it.
It is good.
There was a lot of really good turns of phrase for sure.
Yeah. The physics of us, period. Boom.
Oh,
so good.
Yeah.
I love that they fall in love.
That line reminds me of one of my favorite lines from an Ani DeFranco song, which is it's just like a snippet of it. It's the archaeology of lives, like the stuff that you get, where you live, the house, like when kids grow up and they've got their little like height on the door frame.
Yeah. That is the second consecutive Ani DeFranco mention this episode and last episode.
Whoops.
I mentioned her in the intro to The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas, as Kevin and I were talking about the sound quality, and I was like, Kevin was like, "Oh, the clipping," and I was like, "Kevin, are you familiar with Ani DeFranco's double disc Living in Clip?"
So good.
He's like, "No, I'm not," and I was like, "Well, now you are."
I will try next episode to think.
Yeah, we should try to have a. Speaking of alliteration, what can we call it? An Ani announcement. Amal, Max, help us. We need a good phrase. Let's see. Should we move on to our segments? I don't have much for our segments.
My segments are all just like none,
right.
Good, none.
Yep.
But A+ though. A+ in a good way.
Yeah. Any feminist favorites from the
whole
crowd?
Whole book.
Whole book.
Whole book.
I kind of liked the she was stationed as kind of a housewife at one point, and there was just sort of like a undercover work as a powerless person. I really liked that part of the book. It was good.
I liked the diversity of the roles that they played in shaping the world, because implicit in that is the idea that a lady raising kids and weaving grass baskets by a river is shaping the future. She didn't have to be Genghis Khan to shape the future.
True.
Right.
Yeah, agreed. I like that. Good call, Amy.
Women's work is often, unsung, but yeah, we get to see it writ large.
Sing it, ladies.
Misogynist moment. None.
None. So nice to hear.
Boob talk, I put obviously no.
No, none.
Did they ever, were any body parts even mentioned in this book? Other than like masticating teeth and stuff?
Yeah, I'm sure there's boobs in like their red and blue armor, but we don't hear about it.
They probably do have boobs.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't hear about their elbows either, or their, big toe.
You know, if this was written by a man, that Blue would have been some voluptuous Mother Earth.
She's wearing a bustier made of moss.
Yeah.
That'd be fun to like have a challenge one day. Be like, all right, take this very clearly feminist book and like make it unfeminist.
That actually did reminded me of one thing that I think it was the Tennyson reference that they had. It was the poem they referenced from Tennyson was about the cruelty of nature from the point of view of a scientist, which I thought was really interesting. I like the way that they sort of portrayed nature as this like merciless
it's not all nice
thing that doesn't, I mean, nature is beautiful, but it also doesn't give a crap about you. It's going to go do whatever it is that it does, right?
True.
I really like that.
Also, just a brief instant correction corner. Half of this book was written by a man.
Right. Okay, fair.
So thank you, Max, for the lack of boob armor, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastical food. There's some talk of eating. We do a lot of eating the letters.
My favorite line was, in reference to Moby Dick, there is ship's biscuit talk, but also this phrase, the cods, as in the fish, the cods shall crush the powder, sprinkle over rancidly buttered biscuit. Delicious.
Yes. Oh, Moby Dick moment too. That line is doing double duty. It's a Moby Dick moment.
Doesn't Red at some point talk about, or Blue asks her if she like gets fed like nutritional slurry or something?
Yeah.
She starts talking about it.
She's like, yeah, so what?
Actually, you chew with your outside mouth?
Yeah.
I actually feel like I should have taken better notes because I remember Blue going on at length about how she's always been so hungry. And they talk about eating, and I didn't write any of it down. I was devouring the words on the page, and I didn't write it down.
So it's kind of the classic, like, especially, I mean, everybody can yearn, but lesbians are very good at it. And there's, they straight wash the movie Fried Green Tomatoes, but the book is very gay, actually.
Oh, yeah.
So they replace the sex scene with just like the food fight. And it's just like, oh, I'm so, the whole thing. So.
Oh, here it is. It's, you ask in particular about my hunger. The short answer, no. The longer answer, I don't think so. And then she goes into this many paragraphs about hollowness instead of like a physical hunger. It's like she feels this hollowness and this need. Yeah, like there's something that she's not getting satisfied.
I wonder what it is.
Is she gay?
I remember watching Fried Green Tomatoes as a young teen or tween, and I said to my mom, "Are they gay?" And my mom was like, "Yes." Because it seems like they're together. My mom's like, they're together.
They're like raising a child together with one arm. Yeah.
I mean, in fairness to me, I was like 11.
That's true. Touche.
Kudos to me for picking up on the implications of a food fight when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other food?
That's the good stuff, I think.
Soap stuff?
Oh, actually, yes.
Oh, go.
So Shadow Red, when she's running around trying to recreate or gather up the pieces of Blue, eats all of their letters and all the stuff that they sent each other, which is singularly disgusting.
Yeah, that is pretty gross.
It's nasty.
I was curious how she did that.
She ate that whole goose.
Not my goose, no.
she ate a mushed up bee.
Speaking of the Seeker, from the book club guide, the Seeker appears at the end of every chapter, chasing letters and collecting evidence. Who is the Seeker? What is their purpose? What is their role in this time war? I love how it says this time war, as opposed to the other time war.
Capital T, capital W, time war.
And I'm not making fun of book club. I really was very relieved when I saw these questions because I was so short on talking points.
I had an internship with an editorial outfit one time, and one of my jobs was to write a set of book club questions for a book. And it was a lot harder.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because, like, especially if you're an English major, which I was at the time, like, you want to turn it into this, like, Write me a 5-paragraph essay on the following topics, but you can't do that.
One of the hardest parts of my job is that I have to do how to talk to your kid questions about very serious subjects. I don't have kids.
I don't know.
And let me tell you how you talk to a 12-year-old about sexting.
Use short words.
Yeah.
If your kid watches Fried Green Tomatoes and says, "Are they lesbians?" Answer them honestly. Yes.
Honestly, I just use a lot of stuff that I learned in therapy over the years. Like, be honest and talk about your feelings and don't be mean.
Man, people need to hear that. I think you're doing them a favor.
Lots of people don't go to therapy, and the ones of us that do have to carry it out into the world.
If you know, you know. Okay. I have a soap stuff. Do you guys have soap stuffs?
I always leave it for you.
Going back in time to inoculate Blue against poison so she doesn't die when she gets murdered some millennia later. That's pretty soapy.
Yeah, that is. I mean, the whole idea of like constant time traveling is pretty soapy. Yeah.
It is. Oh, but you know what I wondered? I still can't remember what this is making me think of, but it made me wonder if the inoculation and Blue was like, there was something wrong about me for the longest time, or they knew there was something wrong about me. And it was actually like that little bit of red that she got, I think. And I was like, does she actually love red? Or is it because, like, is she drawn to red because of that happening? And I feel like that's some theme in something else that I couldn't bring to mind. And I didn't know how to Google that.
So it reminds me of in Back to the Future Part 2, they create an alternate 1985. Yeah. So, like, I don't know if all of a sudden, like, at what point is her past no longer real? Because she still spent one timeline growing up without having the inoculation. That's why time travel can't happen, y'all. Like, because the world will just explode. Yeah.
It just became a snake eating its tail, right? It's like, it's just a loop.
Yeah.
It feels like at that point.
When you said, this is like in Back to the Future 2, it made me think of when Chichi Rodriguez says, this reminds me of Princess Laritza in Revenge of the Winch.
and then they're just like, goodbye now.
If you haven't seen Tu Wong Fu, thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. You need to see it.
It's up there with Moby Dick. Perfect.
It is up there with Moby Dick. Okay. I guess we're almost done. Did you like the book? Haley?
Yay.
Amy?
Yes.
Me, myself? Yes, I did. Yeah. I'm so glad I finished it. Since I didn't finish it the first time around, I was a little like, oh no. And then I was so glad. And that's happened more than once where I haven't wanted to read something and then been made to because we were reading it for the podcast. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad I pushed through and read that. It was so good.
Yay.
And
if you all, go ahead.
Well, I think part of it too is that, I do like plot. I'm more into plot than vibes typically, but it isn't long. And I do think it gets a lot plottier.
It does, yeah.
And so if you can just roll with the vibes for a little while, you do get some plot, you do get some kind of action, you get some tension.
Yeah.
I would say like the back third of the book. And it's really good. So I would say if you have tried this and bounced off of it, it is worth giving it another try.
And I almost feel like it functions as a pretty good, like, even if you're not into poetry, it's a pretty good way to read poetry.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a line in here about poetry. It's like poetry breaks words into meaning or something like that. And I think at the end of the day, that's what's going on here, right? You don't necessarily need to understand every word and what it means. You're just coasting on vibes. Yep. That's really, if you can just sort of surrender yourself to it, it's great.
And I have a recommendation for a book that was published this year that I reviewed at Nerds of a Feather called Calypso by Oliver Langmead. Written by, I'm pretty sure he's a professor, but it's like a prose poem book. And it's, I'll read the quick little description. Rochelle wakes from a cryostasis to take up her role on the colony Art Calypso, but she wakes to find the ship deserted and the interior taken over by a forest. As she explores and finds the last remaining members of the crew, she discovers a legacy of war conducted while she slept. The engineers and botanists have different visions for how to build the world. Life versus technology, a high-stakes science fiction adventure of shattering moons, a colonial arc turned into Eden, post-human evolutions delivered in a uniquely compelling form. It was really fun and beautiful. So
cool.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, I liked it.
Okay. Would you say this is more like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings?
I had trouble with this one. I would say instantly off vibe Star Wars because it seems spacey, even though it's time, but time and space they're very closely related. So.
You know how the ring tries to bend everybody to its will? Maybe like
Yes, Amy.
nature and whatever steampunk world Red comes from, those are like the ring. Like they're trying to make everything happen to make their favorite future happen. So I think it's like Lord of the Rings.
I like that.
Okay.
I just made that up right now. I hope you enjoyed it.
My
Or
answer is please stop. Not to you guys. That's just what I wrote in my notes.
Oh. Or is it Bill and Ted? It might just be Bill and Ted.
Oh, it's Blue and Red's Excellent Adventure. Okay, is that the title of the episode, or is it Be Gay, Do Crimes?
I like Blue and Red. That's pretty good.
Blue and Red's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Anything else?
I don't think
That's
so.
it.
Okay, coming up next time, A Fire Upon the Deep by Werner Vinge, rhymes with dingy. I had to put that in my notes because I have such a hard time remembering if it's Vinge. Now that I know it's not Vinge, then I get stuck on, is it Vinge or Vingy?
Or
It's
Vinge.
But now that I'm saying Vingy, that's hard to say. So I think that'll help me. Vingy, it's easier to say. Werner Vinge, a very good book.
Yep.
Okay, that's it. Please rate, review, and subscribe. And thanks for being nice and thanks for being patient. And we like you. And I'll see some of you in Glasgow and London. Bye.
Woo-woo.
Goodbye.
You go, girl. You go, girl. You go, girl. A hilarious podcast.
Haley looks cool like a reporter with her big,
Live from the scene, Joe Biden just dropped out.
big Yeti ding dong.